Welcome to Rugby Tonight, the best bits. We've got another jam-packed show lined up as we look back at the penultimate round of Premiership Rugby with Wasps fly half Jimmy Gopperth. Joining Martin Bayfield and I are Austin Healey and Ben Kay for all the usual Rugby Tonight insights and analysis and a bit of messing. Good to have you here. Lots of Wasps fans here, and you're keeping them very, very excited right through to the bitter end. How are you at this stage of the season when there's silverware to still fight for? How are the nerves?
It's pretty exciting, really. I think any rugby player, if you got the opportunity to be chasing silver at this time of year, it's exciting. It's an exciting camp to be a part of, and yeah, really looking forward to the next weeks coming forward.
I know what your nerves are like. They're absolutely perfect. You have got ice water running through them, because when we go back to the quarter-final against the Exeter Chiefs, that kick to win the game was absolutely sensational. Would you like to relive it again?
You know, the whole sort of pressure. We came back with 13 points down, and you know, time was nearly off the clock, and we came back into to win in the fashion we did, playing the style we love to play. It was just a whole lot of emotion, and I was just really proud to finish it off for the whole squad.
With Newcastle, you fought so hard for them so many years, kicking so many crucial points. A very different environment you're in now. And then, of course, Leinster as well, the three-time European champions, all their star players. Three very different environments. Can you compare and contrast them for us?
Yeah, it's different. I've been very fortunate to experience different environments and different teams. And, you know, I really enjoyed my time in Newcastle. We had great mates. The rugby wasn't flash, and we were fighting for our lives most weekends, but I think I owe a lot to my career for being at Newcastle. It's created sort of different sides of my game I've had to learn. You know, we were on the back foot most of the time, so I've had to learn how to keep the forwards going forward and trying to find space. And then you go to a place like Leinster, you know, one of the best clubs in the world. It was just really enjoyable to be a part of a great group of stars, and now I'm just really enjoying this new Wasp team, and we want to really take this European rugby by the storm. And
of course, Newcastle and Leinster had something in common. They had an ocean nearby, surfing nearby. Not too much surfing in Coventry at the moment. Well, kind of surfing, but not the right kind. You like to surf quite a bit. We have a little shot of that, some footage of that from YouTube. Do you want to see it? It's pretty cool stuff. Talk us through where you're at here. Where's it from?
This is in the Mentawai Islands off the west coast of Sumatra. It's probably the best destination for surfers right throughout the world. Went there with my good mate, Irish mate Richard Fitzgerald. He's a legend of the surfing community, and it's just one of those places you go. The water's 30 degrees. There's just great vibes out there, and some of the best waves in the world.
Jimmy Gopperth is on the surfboard. We've seen, Jimmy, you're a bit of an expert at the moment. You seem to be coping pretty handily there.
It's not like surfing.
No. You see, you do not happen to go to the coast of Sumatra for top quality surfing. OK?
Jimmy, you look completely cool. Don't worry about it. You look completely cool.
It looks good. All right, let's give the other guys a go. Very good. Very good. Come on, Oz. On you go. I'm sure I've seen those shoes in Back to the Future. Those are the ones that lace themselves. Jimmy, how's his style? How's his form?
He's going.
He's going. Here we go.
He's gone.
Very impressive.
Fair play.
Very impressive. And fair. Here we go. Good, mate. Excellent.
Let me get the
He's got no chance. He's a giraffe.
He's too tall.
Yeah, make it realistic. A bit of water. You're in a tube. It's amazing.
He's got a nice poo sound going on.
It's good. We got sound effects. Great stuff. Brilliant.
Ahead of the Lions' upcoming tour in 2017, can you name your fantasy head? backs and forwards coaching team. Let's take a look at what some of the Twitter followers have been saying. Jonathan Davis, Lord Jiffy, this isn't the real Jonathan Davis, I don't think. Could be. I know this one. Gatland, Howley and Edwards. Ridiculous, don't be silly. Michael Callan, he's gone for Gatland, back Schmidt, forward Steve Borthwick. And then finally, Barnaby Hilborn, I think he was probably privately educated. He went for get Rob Baxter involved. I have to agree with that. What do you think?
I don't know. I would like to see, in terms of the head coach, I think continuity, and you often find Lions coaches learn from one experience and then they actually perform a lot better on a second tour. So I'd stick with Gatland if he wants to do it. If Joe Schmidt was willing and available to come in and do the attack role and base his game on what he did with Leinster rather than what he did with Ireland, I'd love to see that. Graham Rowntree as forwards coach, again, keeping that continuity. Probably the biggest one for me, though, is defence coach, because Gatland was very controversial in not picking his own defence coach in Sean Edwards last time round. He picked Andy Farrell. Both of those are available, but I'd go for Paul Gustard, because in a Lions tour, it's someone who can, that X factor off the field, not necessarily what they do on the training pitch, but someone that can bring a team together. He's certainly done that with Saracens and England.
And Jimmy, just very quickly, who would you go as the backs coach?
Yeah, I think Joe Schmidt, get him involved, and if he can emulate, as you say, what Leinster done, what he done with Leinster, I think it'd be a really good mix.
OK, personally, I'd go for a coach that's not been involved with the national side. I think it gives you more flexibility in selection. You don't feel the urge to pick a Welsh player when you shouldn't. OK, I didn't mean that in any disrespectful way. I just think maybe you picked them by mistake. Let's look at 3 different scenarios, 2 that we've spoken about and seen, and 1 that we think that maybe sides can start to implement this, because we're seeing it more and more. Now, as we're saying, what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to hinge on the outside and really block off your options and force you back in here.
Exactly.
Owen Farrell missed more tackles, supposedly, than any other fly-half in the league, but his job is to bump people back into these big ball carriers.
Yeah, it is. They want to cut the options down to the 10. You know, as soon as you see them in your eye line, you don't want to, you know, throw your runners into a car crash. So they're trying to get you to nose back in. We got the big boys that would just, you know, love to find a 10 running down the channel.
So one of those options is get one of those big ball carriers and beat them back to the gap, isn't it? Let's have a look at what that does and what it achieves. So we've got a big ball carrier. She angles back in on the inside. It's a wonderful break. She scored at Twickenham. Congratulations, well done there from Mosley. They're leading against Reading so far. But what you're trying to do there is actually think about the phase after, aren't you?
You are. You're just trying to win the gain line. If you win the gain line with a rush defence, they're coming so hard off the line. So if you can get the gain line, they have to retreat, and they can't keep coming forward all day. So if you get quick ball off the next phase, they're going backwards. You can run flatter at the line, and then you can make them make bad decisions in defence.
So it's a set-up phase, you want to go for the next one. What you did at the weekend, which is actually quite a good decision, we don't see many players doing it, is go back at the lazy defenders. What's that for?
Yeah, well, as you say, as soon as I got the ball here, my eye line was cut. And again, I didn't want to throw them into massive, a big hit there. So you try and pick on some lazy defenders, and this happens, you just off the cuff, you try and come back around, get some lazy defenders, and hopefully create a 3-on-2 down the edge and just pick them off. Because sometimes they're rushing so hard up the inside defenders get a bit lazy, and you can get a bit of short change down there.
And one thing that happened by default, and I'd like to talk a bit more about, is it's a bit different on this pitch, but it's a bit smaller. But how far would the 10 normally be stood away from the 9?
Yeah, normally, you know, you're quite far, so it's a decent pass. And
it's about a 10-metre pass.
Yeah,
normally?
probably about 10 metres. So you want to get a good delivery. That's a long time in the air, so the defence is rushing. My time's cut down, you know, I've got less options. So we thought about bringing them a bit shorter passes.
Yeah, so we saw at the weekend off your multi-phase play where we saw maybe Elliot Daly or Wade come round the corner as a first receiver, and he's quite tight. He's only sort of 5 metres away from the breakdown. These guys are all interested in him because he's a real threat. But if he distributes early to you, your decision time is really increased, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then these guys are coming even further forward. So it makes an option. You've got the ball over the top, which you know, we found a little bit of success against, or you know, you can get some disconnect if they're just going at the line. These guys will keep coming forward, and then you obviously got options back on the inside. You know, Chris Hassan runs those good lines back on the inside as another option.
So as we said, actually just messing around with the width that you stand, and we'll see people at home playing. We're going to sit back down on the sofa, but we see people in lower leagues, they're standing really wide because they see you and you know, Simpson standing really wide. But it's all about your alignment. If you can get tighter, you can often concertina the defence and create more space out wide.
Yeah, it's just a quick phase. It's all about the quickness of the ball. If you can hit the gain line, make the gain line, and then just get quick speed of ball, defenders, as on a blitz defence, can't keep coming forward, and that's the name of the game. Whereas in the weekend, we didn't.
Irish show fight, but are too late to avoid the drop. Craig, I'm going to come to you first on this one, because there is a huge emotional impact of a team getting relegated, but it seems that for London Irish, even more so. You alluded it to it just before we saw that VT, about this connection between the expat community and London Irish. That really was strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it had a very old-fashioned role within London, a big old city, but then you had this rugby club kind of in the middle of it, where Irish people and young Irish people coming over to London, and it can be, you know, we do travel a bit, but it can be a bit kind of frightening at times, and you want to go and meet up with your mates on a weekend, and it was a very familiar place for Irish people to go and hang out, and you had Irish coffees, and you sang a load of songs, and there was always a bit of fun. The band always played afterwards, so it was a place we all kind of met up. And it's interesting, when I go to the Medeski now, I see the same faces there, and a lot of older people, and I really feel sorry for them, because there's a lot of Irish people in their, you know, early 60s who kind of still think of home, but it might have been in England for 20 or 30 years, but they use that as their connection to home. Like, it's still there, but it won't be the same. We're fooling ourselves if we think it'll be the same.
I think that might be one of the best things they've got going for them, the fact that despite getting relegated, they've still got that traditional rugby club atmosphere, and people will still come down there. It's not like, you know, they're going to go down and everyone's going to go, well, we'll go and watch someone else, because they have that Irish connection. But for me, it is that confidence thing. But for the last 4 years, they've almost been set. Steve Peters, the psychologist who did British cycling, he came in and did a bit with the England rugby team. He said, reach for the stars, you might just get the moon. But if you reach too low, you might drop below that. And I think for the last 4 years, they've been doing that. They've been going, let's survive, let's survive, let's survive. And eventually, you're not going to survive. They need to be thinking higher up than that. And teams have left the Premiership and reassessed their goals, got rid of some of the chaff, decided who was important to them going forward. The likes of Harlequins, the likes of Northampton, they've come back and they've been strong teams. That's what London Irish need to do. They can't come back in and go, first season, let's not get relegated, because they'll probably just bounce straight back down.
Do you know what I don't buy into? I don't buy into this, you know, going out to the Championship isn't a bad thing. You can clear a few players, you can restructure. No, being in the best competition, club competition in the world, is the best place to be all the time, right?
Yeah, it is. And also, if you're in the Championship, you need 2 things or 3 things to get back out. You either need lots and lots of money, like Bristol have, or you need to have the ownership of a city, like Bristol have, or you need to have a real identity that draws players towards you, which London Irish can have. They can have, like you said, that expat community. I remember it being a really welcoming club. It was almost the focal point for under-21 competition. We went down there, everybody played, we looted the shop, and then we went home. It was, honestly, that's what it was like back in the old days. It was a brilliant place to go and play rugby. We asked on Twitter, will they bounce back at the first attempt? And we had quite a lot of votes, actually, 720 votes, and 57% think they will. But it's down to that team.
You mentioned Bristol, and at the moment, you know, they're battling away yet again in a playoff to get themselves out of the Championship. Well funded, their own ground, all looking good, but they still can't get out of the Championship. They might do it this time around, so it's not easy. When you drop in there, it's not easy.
Money against Northern Grit, isn't it? Possibly against Doncaster. It's going to be interesting to see.
The Smashometer, it's your first time, Jimmy, having a go at this.
Sure.
This is the leaderboard. This is your target, Jimmy. So, Thomas Waldron and Mike Tyndall at the top with 112. But look down at Freddie Burns, 83, OK? A fellow 10. So maybe you want to make that your target. Maybe you want to go higher. What do you think?
Yeah, I think 83. Anything above that would be all right.
OK, set yourself up. Babes, get him standing in the right place there. Where's he meant to be?
Where are we going?
Let's help Jimmy out here, OK?
In line with
Let's do this, Jimmy. 3, 2, 1, go on! Oh, that's a good one. OK. Freddie Burns on 83. He is the only 10 on that list. You got 100. Fair play. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching Rugby Tonight, the best bits. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Bye-bye.